Hi, beautiful people. Kindly do me a big favor by hitting the like button and let's get started with this beautiful and delicious milk bread that is so simple to put together. My name is Sianoki. As always, it's a pleasure to have you here. I have with me here 3.5 cups of hard flour. If you're in Ghana, we use what we call hard flour for our bread. To that, I'm adding 2.5 tablespoons of yeast, about a teaspoon of salt. I'll be leaving the exact measures of the ingredients I'm using in my description box, so do check it out. I'm going to give this a stir. Make sure that the salt does not come into contact with the yeast as it can suppress it. Now I'm adding some cinnamon to this. You can also add in some nutmeg if you want. I have warmed a cup of milk. That's because my milk was in the fridge, and to that I've added some sugar. I'm adding 1 egg, and I melted some butter. I'm using 4 tablespoons of that. I'm just going to give this a thorough stir. Make sure that everything is mixed up together, and then we continue. Okay, now that I have mixed everything together, I'll just make a small well in my flour, and then I'll add the rest, the wet ingredients. The important thing about this recipe is getting your measurements right, especially with the milk. I used full cream milk. You can use water and then milk powder if you want. Okay, so I'll just stir this, mix everything together, the dry ingredients and the wet ingredients, using my spatula. Okay, and then once that is done, I'll just go ahead and knead. Ideally I would be showing this part, but I just feel like I should share it. Okay, so before I knead, I sprinkle some lemon juice onto my surface, just to, in case there are any bacteria or anything settling on it, I get rid of that. Okay, so yeah, you can do that if you want. Okay, so now I'll just go ahead and knead my dough. The purpose of kneading the dough is to activate the gluten in the dough. Okay, so all you have to do is to work this dough out. And now I feel the consistency of the dough in my hands, and using this measurement, if I'm using flour, okay, to prevent the dough from sticking on the surface, it will just make my dough hard, and I don't want that. So oil works. Okay, I'm just using the melted margarine that I use. I greased it onto the surface, and then I'm using to knead my dough. And as you observed, I was hitting the dough on my surface a couple of times. That would also help work your dough, and it will help activate the gluten in the dough, which is very important when we are doing bread. Okay, so this is what I'm doing, just working out the dough. And most importantly, if you're in Ghana, use hard flour. Okay, we use the soft flour for pastries like pie and all. Okay, now after kneading the dough, for you to know that your dough is ready, when you press your hand on it, it should come up immediately. Okay, so at this point, you know that it is ready. I have greased my bowl with some of the melted margarine, and I'm going to cover this with a cling film and keep it in a very warm area. In this situation, I kept it in my microwave. While that was happening, the waiting time, I made this juice, so watch out for that. I'll be sharing that in another video. Okay, now this is about 30 to 45 minutes later, right after I was done with the juice. I went to check on this, and it was almost double in size. So I'm just going to get all the air out of it and then shape it into my desirable sizes. So this is what I'm going for today. I'm just dividing the dough into 8 pieces. So initially when I made this video, I divided it into 8, but later on I just checked it. I'm like, some of them were just too small, so it ended up being 7 pieces. Okay, so for this particular one, I did 7 pieces of this, and as you saw, I just put together, it in gathered dates at the bottom, and then please observe. I don't know how I'm going to describe this. Okay, so this is what I'm doing. I'm just making it into the small, rolls, and then I'll put it in my. I'm using my cake pan. Okay, to do this, and it's very simple. It's so simple. Just get the ingredients right. Just knead your dough well, and then you're good to go. So once I was done, I was just going to, I'll just put my cling film, the same cling film I used when I was, putting away the dough the first time. That's the same thing I'm using, so I don't waste it. Okay, so again, I'll keep this again in a warm area. And while that was happening, I made the salad that I'll be sharing with you again in another video. Now it's time for me to prep my egg wash. I'm taking 1 egg, and then I'm going to pour about a tablespoon of milk. You can use water if you want. I'll mix this up nicely together, and that once that is done, I am just going to take my dough out and see what we have now. So nice, it has risen nicely, and they are all looking very close together. Yeah, so I'll just wrap my egg wash over the bread um, nicely. This is going to give it a very beautiful color, and also because I'll be sprinkling some sesame seeds on it, it would help stick on the bread nicely. Okay, so that is what I'm doing. I'm just sprinkling some of my sesame seeds on it. At this point, I remind you to hit the like button if you've not done that, and please subscribe to the channel to support me. Thank you very much. So after about 25 minutes in my oven under medium heat, this is what we have. So beautiful, and trust me, it was so delicious. Now let's just take one and see what we have here. I want to use this opportunity to also say thank you so much for the support. Thank you so much for the love. I really do appreciate it. Now, see how soft, see how fluffy, see how good it's looking, and just follow the measures and try this. I'll be waiting for the feedback. Kindly let me know when you try this in my Instagram. Just check my Instagram, Dine with Sianoki and Sianoki. Okay, and now this is the juice, and I'll be sharing this in another video. Thank you so much, beautiful people. Always a pleasure to have you here, and until I see you again in another video, keep staying safe and stay blessed. Bye bye.